Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name's Travis Jones. I'm here with Jason Barrett, and we have another great episode here for you this week. And it's all about how to raise your standards, implement positive habits, maybe discard some of the poor ones that are holding you back, and really how to take control of your life. And that's what we're sort of delving into today. How are you doing today, Jace?
Doing really well. Like I was saying to you, I think when we chatted yesterday, been getting consistent with the gym again, which has been nice. And above and beyond just the back rehab stuff, been incorporating a little bit more, just supersets of smashing out, dumbbell press with some bent over rows, and then some bicep curls and some tricep stuff because gun season's coming back soon. We've had some nice weather in Perth lately without it pissing down. So gotta get the pythons out or the baby snakes, but they're getting there.
Every day is arm day.
Yeah, every day is every has to be arm day for my fucking lanky arms. But no, it's been good. I think it just really highlights to me, and I think probably for a lot of guys here, how important physical activity is and how important moving your body, especially for a man. Like, as I was doing the training that was like very rehab focused, it wasn't really pushing me in the way where I could put my, I couldn't just go like and like push it out and get some energy going, because it's like, if I do that, I fucking re-injure myself basically in some of the movements. So it's just nice to kind of push yourself again a little bit, and I think it's a good reminder, as we go into this episode, how important physical activity is as a standard and a habit to keep up, to keep you motivated and positive. But what about you, man? How are you feeling? You were a bit unwell last week. You're on the other side of it now.
Yeah, like randomly, I think I got influenza A, or if you want to label it. I think it was that. Who knows? But I had the flu. But it was pretty crazy. Probably one of the worst flus I had for a while. But back into doing some running, back into doing some workouts, feeling pretty good. I had to head off the carnivore diet for about 10 days there, but just jumping back onto it now. I feel like I couldn't stomach meat for the whole time I was sick. It was very strange. And my whole taste buds changed, which was weird as well. But it was an interesting time. But as everyone knows, when you get sick as a man, it's definitely, it holds you back. And my wife had to look after me for a good 7 days there. She had a bit of a cough, and I told her she didn't get the man flu. But that's okay. Other than that, I'm good, man. Like, I'm ready to rock and roll for the back quarter starts in, very soon. We've got another 6 weeks or so, and then we're coming back quarter of the year where we get to really smash some goals. I think it's about 4.5 months left in the year or 18 weeks left in the year for those who are willing to, change their life and commit to finishing 2024 as, having a really good year. And it comes down to really changing your standards. Because I heard a good sort of quote the other day. It's like, our habits are the children of our standards. So standards are the overarching principles. And then to uphold those standards, we have habits, and we have different ways to implement habits into our life to uphold those standards that we want to live by. And also, like, people might be going, what are standards? Well, if I got 20 people in a room and you all got down to your boxer shorts, I can see who has standards in their health and fitness, right? And I can see who doesn't, right? If you're 30, 40, 20, 10 kilos overweight, you're lacking standards. Okay, you're lacking standards in your nutrition, you're lacking standards in your movement. You could be lacking standards in your sleep. That sort of ties it all together. But if you're physically fit, if you have abundance of energy, if we're just looking as a physical nature and we're all standing in this room, I can tell people who have standards around their health and fitness. They're normally a little bit leaner. They carry themselves a little bit more confidently. They are a little bit more aesthetic. And that's what we're talking about with standards. You can physically see. You can't see someone's financial standards when they're all standing in a room, because we're not looking at your level of debt or how much you have money sitting in the bank. But you can definitely see someone's standards around their health and fitness just by physical appearance. 9.5 times out of 10. There is going to be a little anomaly, but 9.5 times out of 10, it does work out. So what we're looking at is it's really changing our standards. And I think this is the biggest thing, when people coming into health and fitness, rather than changing their standards that they live by, they're trying to find something that's a Band-Aid solution. What can I do for the next 28 days, next 8 weeks, next 12 weeks, so I can lose this next 10 kilos? And if I lose these 10 kilos or 15 kilos, then all is good. It's like, no, like, we fundamentally must change the standards in which you live your life. Because anyone can go on a diet and lose 10 kilos, but unless you change the underlying standards on how you live your life, you'll put those 10 kilos straight back on because you haven't changed how you live your life that got you to being overweight. You just went for a quick fix to lose the weight, and then you just go back into the old habits because you haven't looked at why you do what you do. And what is your minimum performance standards or minimum performance criteria you live your day and week by? I think that is a big thing. It's looking at the underlying principle, not as the quick fix mentality.
100%. And it's like we've talked about this before on podcasts around, quick fixes and short-term gratification versus long-term gratification. You have to have, and I think a big thing for a lot of guys as they get started is not setting your standards and your habits too high, because then you get, then you beat yourself up and you go, my standard now is I go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm like, well, fuck man, you're going 0 right now. Let's not, let's ratchet the approach up. Let's go 3 or 4 days a week to start with, and let's set that as the goal, right? And I think I've said that to one of my guys. I'm like, let's set the stretch goal to be 5 sessions. Well, if we hit 3, that's still successful. That's still a win. We don't need to go balls to the wall to start with, because then you end up sort of crashing and burning. So it is oftentimes about setting smart standards for yourself and slowly ratcheting them up over time. And your standards will change over time. They will often get higher, but there will be times where your standard will also obviously need to slip a little bit, or not slip, but you'll need to purposefully lower it potentially a little bit. Now, for me, my second child is going to be born at the end of October, right? So which is fucking basically 2 months away. I've got 2 months to prepare for another child. Far out. It's feel like it's going very fast, but like at that point in time, my standards for my health and fitness might be a little bit lower, but the thing is I'm never letting them go completely. The way that my habits change, like my habits will be a little bit different during that period of time, but the standards for myself that I've set, well, there will be a couple of minimums, but it's not like I'm going to be able to get to the gym 3 days a week during that period. I'm not going to be able to, that's honestly probably one of the only things, because guess what? I still have control of my food. It doesn't mean I just go, I'm going to eat fucking chocolate and cookies and KFC and cake and shit. It's like I'm going to meal prep a bunch of stuff before he's born, so we just have freezer meals on freezer meals ready to go, because again, that's my standard. It doesn't mean that I'm completely letting everything slip. So I think a big thing for me is for everyone to be intentional with their standards, right? We've talked about this before, default or design. Be intentional with, hey, what is the minimum that I want to hit? Because we've talked about like having your minimum level of effort, that your like baseline that you don't let anything fall below. But then your standards are oftentimes something that you're trying to like perform to. It's like, cool, my standard for me to have like a good day and for me to be like achieving my goals is this. But first thing is you need to bring awareness to it. You need to know what your standards need to be.
I agree, mate. And I think it's often just the language you use to start with. It's, so many people when they get started with their change, or even the first 6 months or, 12 months, they're a little bit off and on, and they say, I should lose weight, or I should work out, or I should eat healthy, or I should choose this option over that option. And it's the word should. How many times have you said that you should do something and then you just don't do it, right? I should get up in the morning and not press snooze, but then we press snooze. So when we continue to use the word should, it's because we haven't made it a must. And I think it's really going like, I must work out as a minimum with my standards 3 times a week. Like that is my must. I must get 6,000 steps as a minimum, or I must hit 60,000 steps a week. So we can look at it as a week view or a day view. Sometimes I like week views because it allows a little bit of lag in case something, you get that punched in the face, randomness does happen to you, so you can play a bit of catch up across the 7 days. But if we look at it as a form of a must, and it's like I must work out 3 times a week, or I should work out 3 times a week, the power of language goes, well, you're the type of person that must do this because you know that makes you feel better. Or you're the type of person that they think they should do it, but it's not high enough priority. So if something happens, work gets a bit tight, they have to do something else, it's like, I should have worked out 3 times this week, but it was a bit busy. The people that say must, even if it is busy, they still get it done 3 times a week. So it's just shifting what we should do and changing our language to a must do. And that's why Jace was saying before, it's sometimes at the start making a lower bandwidth so you can actually achieve it. Because if we say I must work out 5 times a week and you don't, then all of a sudden You're creating this lack of credibility with yourself, and then we start to increase self-doubt. Where if we start saying, I must work out 3 times a week, and we start nailing it, you're like, yep, that's just like me. And we increase our credibility with ourselves, and we increase our self-belief. And then you'll be the type of person who must work out 4 times a week in about 6 months' time. Or it starts to be just who you are. And they are your standards. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's just who you've become. So we don't change our life with a should. We change our life with a must. And I think if you want to sincerely make change in your life and you want to raise your standards, then it's changing all the things that you should do and making them a must do.
Yeah, I think the necessity of it really makes it important. And this comes back to, and we've talked about this before, your why. It comes back to, is what you're trying to achieve important enough for you where those things do become musts? Right? It becomes a non-negotiable, right? We've talked about that kind of language before. So I think it's really important that you get clear on, why are you doing this? Why are you making the changes? Why are these things so important to you? Because then when you have the decision sitting before you of, oh, do I go sit down on the couch and scroll Netflix and watch, and watch some reels and do that sort of shit? Or do I go to the gym? Do I do that sort of that body weight workout that I've been putting off? Which one do you do? Your why is going to be the thing that drives you towards your standards and the reasons why you must do them. So it comes back to awareness of, what it is that you need to do in order to get the result. And sometimes a coach can help you with that, because sometimes you think you need to do things 5 times, 6 times a week, and you set your standards too high, as we spoke about, and then you come crashing down. Sometimes you can do less. Like some of my guys, like, oh fuck, do I need to be doing more? I'm like, we're getting results. There's this idea that we always constantly need to be doing more and more and more in order to get a result. But if we're doing something and we're getting a result, fuck, just keep going the way that you're going. Now, if you hit a plateau, that's where a coach can come in and sort of help you troubleshoot and help you adapt and change things without being too intense about it, without going like, without going down the route of like, oh fuck, I've got to change every single thing. It's like, cool, let's just tweak these 1 or 2 things to start to get some momentum back again. But yeah, it's important to bring awareness to, number one, what your standards are, but also number 2, why you have them in place in the first place. Because as Trav's saying, like, we should all over ourselves, right? We give ourselves this expectation of what we should be doing, and no, it's either something that you must do. It's got to be something that you must do and that you want to do. Right? And it doesn't mean you're going to want to do every single workout. It doesn't mean that you're going to want to eat every single, lean beef mince and rice dish that you make. I'm just trying to steer away from the chicken breast every time. But it doesn't mean you're going to want to do that every time, but you're going to want the feeling afterwards, and you're going to want the end result that you get. So that makes it a more desirable thing for you to do. But it comes back again to being willing to put off that initial gratification, that immediate short-term stuff, to say, no, I'm sticking to my standards. And it kind of also means like being a man of your word, and like setting yourself a goal and following along with the thing that you said you're going to do.
Yeah, I think, and again, if we go back to it, guys, I know, if we look at the weekly view, it's like, just if you're hitting your calories, it's like, I must not go over 14,000 calories this week, right? Like, that could be it. If you go over 500 today, then you just have to shave like 100, 150 off each day for the next 4 days. And all of a sudden, like, you didn't go over 14,000 across the week. It's like, I want you to really make these stands like, I must do these 3 things. And if we do these big 3 rocks, and we must do them, and we get to do them, not we should, we get to and we must do them, we know we're going to get results. And I think it comes down to like just demanding more of yourself, because a lot of us are demanding so little of what we're actually capable of. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, my life is so busy. Fuck, man, I get it. Life is busy for every single person, right? It is. Like I can always fit more stuff in my day. I can always make it busier. But I know that for me, I must work out. I must go for my runs, because it mentally makes me feel better. It physically, like, my endorphins kick in. I work better. I'm more productive. So I get to do it, and I must do it because I'm a better person in the other aspects of my life. So for me to be the best version of me, doesn't matter how busy everything is, I must work out, because then I'm a better dad. I'm a better partner. I'm a better, business owner. I'm a better work colleague. Like, I'm better across the board. I'm better with my mental health. So if I want to be better across the board, then it's a must for me to work out because I know that there's that carryover effect. So I have to demand more of myself. I have to, even if I'm tired, get up and get it done because I know that if I demand that a little bit extra, then that will make me better for everyone else. And I think it's, we're either tolerating shit, okay, or we're actually moving forward with our life. And so many of us, we're 20 kilos overweight, and if you aren't changing it, you're choosing it. Like you're tolerating shitty standards. And it's like, oh, I'm not choosing to be 20 kilos overweight. I was like, no, you're choosing right now to use really soft ass weak language because that makes you feel better. Like it does. Like if we go, oh no, life's busy and I put 20 kilos on, like that doesn't make us want to make change. That doesn't make us want to demand more of ourselves. It's a cop-out. It's a justification. But if you're like, man, like I've chosen to focus more on my career and more on X, Y, and Z, which has then made my energy lower for my family and for my kids. And it's made my confidence decrease and it's made me not make my health a priority. So I've put on 20 kilos. So I've chosen to gain this weight. And because I chose it, I can also unchoose it. I can choose the opposite. I can choose now to make my health a priority. I can still keep my work and my vocation and keep moving forward, but I can choose now to make my health a priority because I chose to gain the 20 kilos, clearly just by overeating and undermoving. And now I can choose to eat according to a calorie deficit and move more. And I know that 20 kilos will drop off me because I've demanded more of myself. I no longer tolerate these lower standards I've set around my health. And I demand that now I choose to make my health a priority because I want to be the best version of me for everyone else around me.
Yeah, exactly right. And I really like that powerful frame around if you're not choosing to do something different, then you are actively choosing what you're doing now. And it's the same thing with every area of life. You've got relationships as well. If you're in a relationship that isn't ideal and it's like you're actively choosing that misery, like you're choosing that relationship over potentially something better. And it's like, they'll be like, oh, I'm not choosing to stay in my job. I have to. It's like, well, no, you are choosing to stay in your job. I'm not choosing to be overweight. Well, yeah, you are with your daily choices. Like it's really that simple. And it's really that idea of, it's 100% that simple. You've got to be clear on, that is it. Like if I could fucking tie this up with a ribbon, there would be that. You are making your choice and you are either choosing your current circumstances, right? And it's the same sort of principle as default or design, but it's like you're choosing your current circumstances or you're choosing to be something different. So I think it comes to acceptance. Like you've got to accept that you have made the choices that have gotten you to where you are. And I tell this to all my guys that come on board. I'm like, look, there's 3 plans that we're looking at here. There's the plan to get you shredded. There's the plan that you're on right now, which is what has gotten you to where you are right now. You might not think it's a plan, but it's a plan. It's a plan that you've chosen, that you've enacted. It might not have been consciously, but whatever your plan has been up until now, this is what has gotten you to the point where you're overweight. That's it. Next step is going to be getting you shredded. And then there's a plan for maintenance, which is somewhere in between. That's where your standards come in. Somewhere in between those two. You can't just go back to that previous plan because guess what? That's what got you to 120 kilos and overweight. We need to do something different. We need to make some kind of a change. And I think a lot of guys need that kind of wake-up call of what are you choosing, right? Like right now you are choosing to continue to be overweight because you're choosing the beers, because you're choosing to sit down, because you're choosing not to go train or go for a run or go do something different. And you're choosing not to just take 20 minutes to cook a little bit of extra protein to throw in your meal and not eat the pizza or not eat the lasagna. Like whatever it is, you're making those choices. So first things first, you just got to fucking take ownership and responsibility. It's like, I'm an adult. I made these choices. They weren't ideal. Yes, there are circumstances and yes, there's plenty of reasons that we can bring up, but the past is the past. All sorts of stressful shit is going to happen. Like, having kids, it brings on a lot of fucking stress and a lot of changes, right? So especially now we go from 1 to 2. So we're going to be, evenly numbered now, which is not fun. So, and that's it's going to be fun and games, but it is, it's so important that you're aware of, okay, cool, well, I'm making this choice. And it's empowering to say, I'm making this choice. Yes. And I tell guys all the time, don't have shit by like, oh, I just couldn't fucking resist and I went mindless. It's like, no, if you're going to eat some pizza or some cake, choose to eat some pizza. Yeah. Choose it out of like intention. Go, you know what? I really feel like
Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Say, I chose this and that's okay.
Yeah. 100%. I chose to eat this because of it, it will make me feel X, Y, Z. And the more you start to do that, the more you'll realize, fuck, I actually don't want to choose this thing anymore. I don't want to choose pizza. I don't want to choose ice cream. I'm not actually wanting to choose it. I'm just having it because it's there, or like, I just can't resist it. But when you come back to a place of choice, it's like, oh, well, what do I actually want? What do I want? Do I want to feel good? Do I want to feel shitty? Do I want to have a little bit of pizza and a little bit of fucking broccoli? Yeah, we have a bit of a balance, right? Broccoli pizza, there you go. Broccoli and chicken breast pizza. It's, if you make your own bases, it's fucking realistic. It can work. But I think that's a fundamental for everyone, is just like, come back to choice and be the person who makes the choice.
I agree. And I think it's also it's asking yourself in the moment sometimes, and maybe working out sometimes isn't the choice you need to do. And go, I don't want to work out. If I'm going to feel better today, if I work out, yes or no? No, because maybe you do have a lot of stuff on. But if you have a standard of 3 times a week, it's like, if I miss today, then I'm definitely going to hit tomorrow. And also, if you want the pizza, go like, do I need the pizza, or do I want the pizza? And do I want to feel good tomorrow, or do I want to have the pizza today? If you feel bad after pizza and you have some form of adverse reaction to pizza. But I think you just have to ask it, because all it is, it's a choice, right? I'm choosing this now, or I get this later. Okay, which one am I choosing right now? And if you're on a diet and you're trying to lose weight and you want to lose 20 kilos or 30 kilos or whatever it is, your choices right now need to be more centered around the future version of you. You have to act as if the person who's 30 kilos lighter, the version of you who's 90 kilos or 80 kilos or 70 kilos or whatever they are, what choices would they make? And can I just act as if I am them now with their standards? Because that version of you is out there. They have standards. They have a level of, I will eat out this many times. I will have this many drinks on a weekly basis. Or I'll have ice cream once a week, whatever you do, right? They have a level of standards. Just act as if you are them now. Adopt their standards. And then in time, you'll become them. So I think you have to go, well, what I'm not changing, I'm choosing. You have to get real with yourself and like get a bit raw, rather than just like being wishy-washy with the language you use. I think it all starts with like step one to changing our standards is really determining how you think about yourself. That's a true thing. Like if you want real change, it starts with what you believe about you and what you believe that you're capable of. That is a big thing. It's like, because so many people come and say, I can't stick to a diet. I can't work out 3 times a week. I can't lose 20 kilos. Like I can't. And they have so many negative ingrained beliefs that we need to move past, because they don't believe they can create change, because they've fallen on their face so many times, which is why accountability helps, which is why a coach helps, which is why a support network helps, because when you fall down, you just get picked back up. Someone's there to keep dragging you along by your fucking hair. It's like, let's get to our goal. Because if not, you sit in the corner, you take 2 steps forward, you take 2 steps back. But if you've got a coach, you might take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but then they'll drag you forward another 3 or 4 steps over the next couple of weeks. So that will help change your beliefs and change the conviction in which you understand what you're truly capable of. And we start to change the I can't to I can do this, to I will do this. And, it's just changing what you believe. I can't work out 3 times a week, and then we start doing it. It's like just 1% of your day. Maybe just start with 14 minutes a day. And it's like, I can work out. I can work out 14 minutes 3 times a week. Like, I can do this. And then you might change it to 28 minutes, 2% of your day. It's like, fuck yeah, I can. I can work out 2% of my day 3 times a week, and I will do it because I've shown that I can do it. All of a sudden, the can't changes to can, and the can changes I will. And all of a sudden, you're doing it 4 times a week, and you start to crave the feel-good endorphins. You start to crave the way you feel when you work out, and you've changed the beliefs within yourself 1 step at a time, and it's very hard to then default back to the previous version of you, because you've changed the biggest thing, which is what you believe about yourself.
And if you can change that, there's no telling what things you can change, right? Like if you can change what you believe about yourself, the way to start doing it, as Trav said, is you've got to give yourself evidence that it's possible, right? Because we have all of these hidden assumptions in our language and in our life. These hidden assumptions, like we've spoken about, how many times a week do I need to train? What kind of diet do I need to have? It's got to be restrictive, and I can't eat with my family, and all of these other little bullshit things that come up. And we've even had some guys like, I really need to train like face to face with someone and be in the gym with them. And it's like, well, let's be perfectly honest. You're a fucking dad. You don't have the time to go to the gym 3 times a week for an hour, like minimum 45-minute session with a fucking personal trainer. Get there 5 minutes early, warm up 5 minutes. Like you just don't have that capacity and time. So you've got to fucking nut up and go, no, I've got to do this shit. Like, I've got to motivate myself to do this shit if I want the result. And the way that you do that is by making it realistic, making it achievable, rather than like, oh, fuck, I've got to have to go into the gym and do it, because it's just going to be a waste of your time and money.
Or Jace, with that, what they'll say is, I can't start right now because I don't have the time to go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week for 45 minutes. What they'll do is they'll press pause on becoming a better version of them, because they say you don't have the time right now. So they're creating more of these limiting beliefs. So it's like it's stopping them even taking a step forward, because they believe that they need to do it 3 or 4 times a week for 45 minutes. And I don't have the time now, which is again more evidence why you need someone to help you get the results you're after with the minimum viable effort to put in, so you can start moving forward with 14 minutes a day if that's all you have.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to get you're not going to become fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger on 14 minutes a day, but you're going to become, like, you're going to take a step towards a better version of you. And I've told these to so many guys, like, set your minimum. Like, cool, all right, I do like 15 minutes of exercise, every other day. All right, cool. You can do fucking laps around the block, and then superset that with push-ups. Do a lap around the block, do some squats, do a lap around the block, do some more push-ups. Like, it's not that hard. You can do some of that stuff, and it's like getting something in. Too many people try and get it perfect when they start and trying to get their standards and everything perfect. It's like done is infinitely better than perfect. And anything is better. Like that first 15 minutes a day that you do is infinitely the most beneficial exercise that you can do in your life. The next 30 minutes that you then manage to squeeze in eventually, right? The 45 minutes, if you were to do that in a session, that's good and it has benefits. But that first 10, 15 minutes of intentional exercise that you do has such a greater return on investment from a time perspective on your health. But it's the hardest one for people to start doing. It's not hard for a lot of people to go from I'm doing 20-minute sessions to doing 30-minute sessions, but it's very hard for people to go from 0 to 10 to 15-minute sessions, because they're going from a complete standstill to something. But that is the most beneficial increase in activity that you can do for your body, because you're going from literally nothing to something. And that has so many health and physiological and psychological benefits. That is just, it baffles me that people, that people do that. That people throw up I've had guys throwing to me, oh, but I work too much and it's like time and this and that. And I'm like, well, you came to me because you're struggling with time. You came to me because you're struggling with your energy, and you're currently not doing anything about it. Right? So again, you're choosing your circumstances. You're choosing to work the hours that you are. And it's like, at the end of the day, your kids aren't going to remember how many hours you work. They're not going to remember, how much money you made. They're not going to remember, the jobs that you got done at work. They're going to remember the times that you were home late and you couldn't see them for bedtime and couldn't bath them, and you didn't have the energy on the weekends because you were exhausted and you were run down and you were overweight. Like, that's the shit that they're going to remember. Right? So you've got to be like, what kind of dad do I want to be remembered as? And here's a big thing for me. Like, just start moving towards the thing that you want. If the thing that you want is more energy and more time with your kids, stop putting barriers up in front of that. I want to be able to play more with my kids. Cool. You don't need to sort of wait until the perfect circumstances to do that. Just start fucking doing it more. A lot of guys are like, oh, I need to work really hard now so I can spend time with my kids more later. It's like, well, what if you stopped working as hard now and just spent time with your kids now? Like, you can have the thing that you say that you want, but then it's like, then the truth comes out. It's like, well, that might not be actually what you really want. That might be your excuse or your reason. But ultimately, you have to be real with yourself about what your goals are, what is important to you, and you've got to be willing to uphold a minimum standard to get there. And if you're not, don't lie to yourself and say that you are, and be willing to say, look in the mirror and go, I'm choosing my current circumstances, and I'm going to continue to choose these current circumstances. And if that's fucking uncomfortable for you to say, and you're like, well, no, I'm not, I don't want to. It's like, you're either in denial or you're ready to make a fucking change. And if you're ready to make a change, make a fucking change, right? And if you're in denial, cool. It's not just a river in Egypt.
Exactly. I think, in saying that, Jay, it's like, the 14 minutes, which is that 1% of your day. If we look at, like you said, like run around the block, do 10 push-ups every single time you run around the block. Just do that for 14 minutes. If you only did that every single day, and that's all you did, if we look over the course of the next year, like that's 85 hours of working out you added up. Like, you can either have 85 hours of working out or you can have 0, because you said 14 minutes isn't enough. Now, the person who works out for 85 hours is definitely going to be moving the needle towards the healthier version of them, towards the better version of them, the fitter version of them. And who knows, maybe your kid might start running around the block with you and you get to spend time and we get to multitask doing things with our kids whilst we're also getting fitter. So instead of doing 14 minutes because you want to spend some time with the kids, maybe you get to do 28 minutes because you get to do it with your kid, and we get to do it longer and we get to do it better as you get fitter, and you can make it a family activity. So I think it's like, stop making any excuses. I think that is a big thing, because if they are our standards, we can't make excuses around our standards. They are what they are, and I must do it. And I execute because that is the person I am, because I demand more of myself. And I think, again, the language must be powerful, and it can only be powerful if you have a strong enough why. This is why I must demand more of myself, because this is the man who I want to be for my family and for my children. And I am no longer tolerating the shitty standards I was executing on a daily basis, or a lack of standards I was executing, because I no longer tolerate that man. And it has to be powerful language, because powerful language creates change. Wishy-washy bullshit fucking language doesn't create change. If you step up and look in the mirror and you fucking talk to yourself like you're actually drawing a line in the sand, you're like, no, enough is a fucking enough, man. You've justified shit for too long. And if we look at ourselves, we talk to ourselves like that, I'm not giving you some self-love stuff. I'm not giving you a hug right now. It's like, no, man, fucking man up, right? Demand more. You can do more. You can be more. And I know you want to be more, so demand it today and actually move forward. And once you really get powerful with your language like that, that will evoke this emotion inside of you to get moving in the right direction, because you know it's black and white. And I think we changes the way we think. Like I said, it goes from that I can't to I can. We start to break through these limiting beliefs, because we're holding on to these limiting beliefs for 10 years, 20 years. Like, we're holding multiple decades, some of us. Like, I'm big boned, I've got a slow metabolism, like, all my family's overweight, or I can't have it all. I can only have like just a great career. I can't have a great career and a great energy and great health and great family. It's like we have these limiting beliefs that we hold on to, and they keep us pigeonholed, right? And we need to go, no, like, there is other people out there. There is other people out there just like me, except they have, the health that I want, whilst having the income that I have, and they have the family that I want. They have the energy that I want. So instead of fucking making limiting beliefs, start asking better questions. That's literally it. So you just have to go, if they are doing it, what are they doing right now that I'm not doing? What could I be doing that's more like them, so I can actually have that energy? And the biggest thing is, like we see on our ads all the time, it's like someone, will comment on our ads, oh, he looks like that, he must never have time to play with his kids, he must live in the gym 3 hours a day, and oh, mate, you must be broke because you're sitting in the gym all day long to look like that. So our limiting beliefs are so strong for some of us that we can't even believe that anyone else could have a great relationship with their partner, their kids, have energy and be healthy and have a decent income. We think that is impossible. But guys, time and time again, it has been proven, one, with us, with our clients, and with not just our clients, many other people around the world, that yes, you can have it all. And if someone else can have it all, you can too. You just have to get more curious with your questions, and you have to just stop tolerating the bullshit answers that you're creating for yourself. And I think that is a big thing. It's like, just ask better quality questions that lead you down a better path.
Yeah, the quality, Tony Robbins says this best, right? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And instead of asking yourself shit questions, ask yourself things like, how can I make it work? And you will be surprised at the answers you actually get when you ask yourself the proper fucking question. Like, it is actually ridiculous. Like, how can I make this situation better? How can I make this work? How can I work out today? How can I do something to move forward for my health? Like, you ask yourself those questions, like, you'll find the answer. You'll find the answer easily. Like, I could look at my calendar today and go, fuck, I've got a lot of calls on. I probably won't be able to make it. Or how can I make it work? All right, you know what I can do? There's like a half an hour gap here. I have my shoes on before my calls, and then I'll just go straight out for a fucking run. I'll run around the block a couple of times, 20 minutes, probably not 20 minutes running around the block. I might run a bit further than that. I just do a very big lap of the block. But you can do things like that. And you can just say, all right, fuck, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to park that bit further away. I'm just going to do what I can. And then you actually feel like you're moving forward. You feel like you're in control. You feel like you're making choices. But it all comes back to the questions that you're asking yourself. And this is what will help us uphold our standards. Because if you have your standards in place and you're like, oh, I probably can't make that work today. Why is it always so hard? Why am I tired all the time? It's like shit questions. And you're going to get shitty answers. I was like, well, how can I make this work this week? And then guess what that actually forces you to do, which is the big key of the questions. Forces you to sit down and go, okay, how can I make this work this week? There may be a circumstance where it's like, fuck, things are so busy this week, I can only get 2 out of 3. But at least you actually know realistically by going through the results that you can't make that happen for whatever reason, right? Like, we're going away to whatever, we're not going to be able to, like, you've got the logical answer in front of you rather than just the emotional, immediate response where you don't want to have to take responsibility.
Exactly. I think sometimes it might not be working out right. Like, for example, if Jace has like a bunch of calls today, he's super busy, instead of going, well, how can I work out today? It could be asking the question of like, how can I make sure that I'm making my health a priority today? So again, a good quality question. Jace's like, well, I've got calls. I've got a walking pad. I'm going to walk for 12,000 steps, right? I'm not going to be able to get my walk in, my run in, or I'm not going to be able to get my workout in. But how can I show myself today that my health is a priority? Like, how can I do that? And all of a sudden you just go, fuck, well, I could go for walks while I'm on calls. I could make sure that I eat really well today, right? Like that, I could do 10 push-ups every hour, right? And just do exercise snacks every hour for the next 12 hours, the next 15 hours. Like, guys, it doesn't have to be a full-on workout. You just have to ask yourself, it's like, how can I show and prove to myself that my health is a priority today? Again, better quality question gets you better quality answers, because sometimes you might be racking your brain. It's like, how can I get my workout in today? Because I've got and we start to come up with all the reasons why we can't. Instead, it's very easy. How can I make my health a priority? I can not deviate from my calories. That's how I'm going to prove to myself that even on a day when normally I would be emotionally low because I'm sitting, I've got calls all day, it's draining, so I need something to make myself feel good, especially when I'm not working out. So I'll reach for a cupcake or a this or a that to try and be a coping mechanism. I'm going to make sure that my health is a priority today by, even though I am so busy, I'm still going to stick to my nutrition plan. So again, guys, start asking better quality questions. And then the last step here is like, it's just starting to focus on the process rather than focusing on the outcome. So we have these standards that, one, we're going to implement, and it's like, I must. And also the standards, like, we're not going to tolerate anymore. I'm not going to tolerate binge drinking. I'm not going to tolerate making excuses, right? I just don't tolerate that anymore. I'm not going to tolerate A, B, and C. I must do, X, Y, and Z. And then we go, okay, well, step 2, like we just said there, it's like breaking through the limiting beliefs. It's like modeling success, asking better quality questions, asking fucking anyone a question rather than sitting in the corner and having an ego saying, I can't do it. It's like, find fit people. If you don't want to hire a coach or you don't have a coach, just find 10 fit people and ask them questions. You might not come up with the best answers, but it's better than sitting in the fucking corner making excuses. So at least you're doing something, right? I think you'll start to move forward. There's definitely a lot of crap ways to get healthy and fit, and there's definitely a very easy way to get healthy and fit. That's why you hire, professionals to help you do it. But either way, to start doing something. And a lot of the time it's like, what you should be doing, just move more and eat less shit. And step 3 is like, just start to focus on the process of nailing these new habits. And it's like having these upper and lower limits for me, like a standard, for example, like upper limit of me as far as my weight, like 93 kilos. I know if I hit 93 kilos, that's the upper limit of my standard for weight, which I accept. So then I lose weight. And like 88 kilos is like the lower. If I start to get lower than 88 kilos, I don't like it. And I just don't feel strong. So like I have this like 5 kilo bandwidth of standard that I like to live within my weight. That's my weight range standard. If I go too low, really it doesn't happen too much because I love food. But if I get too high, I definitely knock back my food. I haven't been above 93 kilos for a long time, probably a good 5 years. So like it just pulls me back down, and I jump on the scales once a week just to make sure. But that is my maintenance standard. Okay, so Jay said like there's goal setting standards and there's maintenance standards. So And then what are the habits? If we're trying to nail it, it's like, well, I hit the process of my nutrition. I habit stack with my my workout. Maybe like, you have to look at where is the habits and how can I implement this new habit inside the day. Maybe there's an anchor habit. So that, you have your coffee first thing in the morning, and maybe like straight after the coffee, you run around the block for 10 minutes, right? Like maybe that's the anchor habit. As soon as you have your coffee, that's when you go. Or you have to go and run around the block for 10 minutes and then you have your coffee. It's a reward. Either way, we can use habit stacking, we can use anchor habits, we can use upper and lower limits, so making sure that we can feel like a winner. But we need to start focusing on nailing the process rather than always focusing on the outcome, because if we keep nailing the process of creating these new standards and living up to these new standards, the outcome takes care of itself, guys. When I say, in a year's time, 20 of you stand there in your jocks in a room, like we'll be able to see who followed their standards and just follow the process, because we know that your body will be a physical representation of the standards that you live by with your health and fitness.
Yeah, exactly right. You just got to be willing to do the work to get the result. And you've got to be willing to set in place the standards. You've got to be willing to stick to the standards for a long enough period of time to see the end goal. And if you struggle with that, or if you need help putting in place the right standards or clearing up some of the bullshit about what it is you need to do, that's obviously what we're here for. So, if you are looking for a coach, if you are looking for that bit of extra support where we can do everything for you, we can do the nutrition, we can do the training, we can do the steps, we can do the lifestyle and the sleep and the stress and the understanding of the dad pressures, which is a big reason why a lot of guys jump on board. Head to fit-dad.club. Book in a call. We can help you have a conversation about where you are right now, what you might need to change, and help you get to where you want to be. So head to fit-dad.club and book in if you're in that position where you just need that extra bit of guidance. If the podcast hasn't given you everything you need, you just need that bit of a kick up the ass. And for a lot of people, sometimes putting money on the line also helps, right? So if it's not us, make a bet to someone in your family. Say $500. I'll lose 10 kilos before the end of the year. Otherwise, that's what you get on New Year's Day. There you go. That'll do something to motivate you, to get you in that initial zone, whether that is hiring a coach, whether that is doing something drastic, whether that's signing up for a marathon. Like, give yourself something to move towards, to give you a reason to implement the standards.
Indeed, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, get real and bit raw with yourself. Stop talking fluffy and start actually being direct, and use powerful language, okay, to create and force change inside your life so you can demand more of yourself. Go to fit-dad.club to talk to us. Leave a review. Share this podcast with another dad, or share it with anyone that you think that will benefit from listening to it. And if not, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Rate it. And we'll be here next week, guys, for another episode of the Fit Dad Club.